All right, GM out there. I'm excited for this one. I've been doing a lot of utility tokens recently, and for once in a little while, we're going to do a meme deep dive. We're going to go over all the scores, but stick around for the end because we're going to take a look at the chart, and it looks kind of explosive. I'm not going to lie. I think there's a really good setup here for quote unquote alt season. We're going to gut Toshi today. I don't want to be too dark, but Toshi is Brian Armstrong's cat, the founder of Coinbase, and it is the leading meme on Base Chain. So without any more fluff, let's dive right into it. Let's take a look at their website first. So you can see here is Toshi on Coinbase. Again, this is Brian Armstrong's sort of core meme, and it's the core meme on Base. There's a bunch of memes on Base, notably Brett and Degen. Toshi positions itself kind of as the chain mascot. It's got powerful retail flow and some cross-project collaborations. So we're going to jump into the narrative and vision. Again, this is a meme token, so there's no utility. It's just a brand mode. So the brand, the cat itself, is the entire product. And while I was going through this and trying to do some basic research, I guess if you can call it, on Toshi, the one thing that kind of bothered me was a lot of these things actually don't link anywhere. So this works. They're NFT Toshis or the 2.0 Toshi NFTs. They're there. You can take a look at them on Magic Eden. But for example, the Toshi Mart just goes to a non-working page. And this is supposed to be their one-click social launch and trading platform. And it doesn't work. Doesn't exist yet, I guess, unless I'm completely missing something. NFT Toshi 2.0s, these just go to a 404. So it was a little strange, like especially for something so big that's kind of, I wouldn't say backed by Coinbase, but is a Coinbase base-led meme. Kind of weird that their site goes to a bunch of stuff that is not actually live yet. But regardless, I took a look at their Git book, and there's not too much in here. I think the only new sort of product they've recently are trying to launch is the DAO, which just allows people basically to vote on changes to Toshi. Now, the issue here is they actually haven't announced a partnership yet, and their Medium article around this is from February 2024, so a year ago. And if you look at their entire Medium, they haven't posted since November of last year. Kind of suspect in my eyes, like, is this actually dead? Or are they still working on this? And the reason I brought this up today is because this has caught a bid. It just had a few listings, and the price has reflected that. Still, I think the chart looks good. I don't know how I feel about the cat itself. I mean, I think there's better memes out there, but that's just my opinion. So regardless, let's give it a score for narrative and vision. And I gave it a 14 out of 20. I really didn't find anything too wrong with this. This is not a new token. It's basically a brand. So you're looking for listing momentums, brand tools. The only real differentiator here is that it's on Base. So regardless, let's take a look at the tokenomics and supply for this thing. You can see recently in the last 7 days, it's had a pump, and that's just because there's been listings on Binance Futures and Upbit. Doesn't matter too much, though. I think the main thing to take away here is that there's 420 billion Toshi, so a ton of supply, 420 meme, whatever. There isn't any buy or sell tax, which is good. And whether or not the DAO utility actually comes to fruition, we'll see. Right now, if you ask me, it's dead in the water. The huge plus here for me is that it's 100% circulated. There's no unlocks. There's no future sell pressure really to worry about besides the holders. And there's a ton of holders for this thing, almost 1 million holders of Toshi. So it is a big token. It does have a large community behind it. They have 100,000 followers on X. And the only con here I could really put down for the tokenomics is that there's no structural value capture beyond sort of the vibe and the platform growth, if you even really want to call it a platform. It's just a bunch of NFTs, if you ask me, and a bunch of merch. But that is usually the case for a lot of these meme tokens. So anyway, for tokenomics and supply, I gave it a 12 out of 20, and we can move on to the tech and execution. There's no real tech and execution here. I'm sorry. There's just some NFTs and a bunch of listings. Again, Toshi Mart is not actually working for me, so I couldn't actually take a look at this. It looks interesting, sure. I think it's kind of like pump.fun, where you basically launch your own meme token on base, but the lack of frequent site updates and no Medium posts, these links not working, it's kind of hard for me to give this a really high score. So for the second execution, I just went right down the middle, gave it a 10 out of 20 for Toshi, and we can move on to the market structure and liquidity. This thing is super liquid. It's got a $360 million market cap. Volume is sort of all over the place depending on when buyers and sellers actually step in waves. You can see there's been periods where volume and activity is just absolutely non-existent. So I think the big takeaway here is that it is on tier 1 listings, right? It's obviously on Coinbase, it's on Bybit now, it's on Uniswap, PancakeSwap, Upbit, Binance, anywhere you would want to be able to be on for a meme token, Toshi's on there. So again, I think the real con here is just that it's catalyst dependent. It needs volume, it needs people talking about it, and that means it needs narratives to drive the price. So regardless, I still think liquidity-wise, this thing is super liquid. You're not going to have to worry about sort of really huge buy-sell walls or sell pressure in terms of unlocks. So for that reason, I gave it a 13 out of 20 for market structure and liquidity. And we can move on to exit risk and VC stakes. Again, there's no VC overhang. There's no public VC series. There's no cliff, no calendars. Those are all good things. Again, the primary risks here for me are sentiment collapse. This thing just falls out of favor. No one cares about Toshi the cat anymore. And the platform adoption, the DAO stuff, the Toshi Mart that doesn't work right now. If all that continues to kind of slide off to the wayside, that's a big con for me. So regardless, I didn't ding them too hard. There's no huge exit risk in my mind in terms of token unlocks. That's really good. So I gave it an 11 out of 20. That gives us a final score for Toshi the cat, 60 out of 100. This could definitely run if it has the proper catalysts in an alt season. It does have the liquidity, but it could also fall completely out of favor and behind other tokens. The way that I would normally look at this is put this in a ratio against other sort of dominant majors that are high beta plays like Solana or Ethereum, right? How is Toshi doing against ETH or Sol? And structure your plays that way. But let's look at the actual chart, because I thought that there was some interesting things in terms of the price action. So this is the weekly chart on a log scale, so completely zoomed out since the launch of Toshi. And right away, when I was looking at this before putting the video together, it just looks like a huge ascending wedge. You have this sort of constant bid as this lower trend line goes up. And you have two different kind of ceilings. You have this one, which was the all-time high, and then this sort of secondary ceiling with the green line that we're now testing again, right? It went above it, has come back down now, but it's basically something that looks to me like it's compressing. Now, you have to be very careful because these types of compressions can work both ways. So you can have something like this, and then you rip, but you can also have something like this, and then you dump. Right? So you have to be ready for both scenarios, have stop losses in place. And, you know, when I look for these type of breakouts, again, I'm not really a short-term trader, but when I'm looking for these type of breakouts, what I generally do in order to confirm that the trade is correct is wait until it breaks out and then retests where it broke out from, and then wait for that push, something like that. Same thing for the downside, just reversed. But either way, I think the chart looks really solid, right? There's a lot of meme coins that sort of have their initial pump, maybe have a second pump, and then kind of die off. Volume's completely dead. Price is just bleeding slowly. And it's very difficult for those to come back. This has had its pumps, but there has been an incremental bid on all of these sections. So there's consistently higher lows, right? Higher low, higher low, higher low, now a higher low potentially again. You're just waiting for it to really break out of this zone and hopefully move towards new all-time highs. So that's how I'm looking at it. Again, I think the chart looks solid, especially compared to a lot of the memes out there. The fact that this is sort of Brian Armstrong, Coinbase's base tokens main meme, you're also looking for the base ecosystem to grow. If it does, Toshi's going to go along with it. So that's the chart. That's my analysis on it. I hope you enjoyed this. I'm definitely going to be keeping this on the watch list. You know, in terms of the big tokens for this cycle, stuff like Pepe, stuff like Doge, stuff like SPX, Toshi is definitely up there in the runnings for what can sort of outperform this cycle. So definitely keeping it on a watch list. Again, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you made it with me this far, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, you know what to do. I'm not even going to ask you for it. And as always, have a great day out there. I'll see you back here for the next one. Thanks for watching.